first of all, it's a multiplayer game. What about all the players who would rather play alone, not in a group? What can they expect from Dune Awakening?
I mean, the game is still fully playable without other players. You can play most of the way through without having to like play with people. So there's everything in the overworld is basically solo, so it's fine for you to play alone. I think the people who want to live in the Dune world want to play alone. I think it's fine, but I think at some point you need to think about whether you want to like join a guild to take part in the politics for the end game. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to. You can still like work to do things to help people. You can sell things to people, but I think there's plenty of opportunity to play the game solo without having to play with people. Something I learned from making MMOs is a lot of people want to play multiplayer games alone.
Yeah, yeah. In that regard, is is it planned to have private servers like in Doom Access?
No,
Not at all.
no.
Even not a future feature.
Well, because I think that if we give people access to the server code, they can start hacking the server code, right? Which makes more of a problem on Dune than it did in Conan Exiles. Because
Okay.
yeah, but what we might do one day, and we haven't finalized this, is allow people to rent a server that's for them,
Yeah.
like their own server with their friends or whatever. But it'll still be like you won't be able to mod it like the way you can with Conan Exiles because it's not like
I mean that's also because I'm one of those players who prefer to play alone or only with friends because I don't have much time.
yeah.
So when I build a base, I don't want other players to raid it.
But they can't in Dune.
Okay, they can't.
Yeah. So Dune has a shield system.
Yeah.
So your base can't be destroyed by anybody if you have the shield up and running.
Okay. Okay.
So it's actually quite friendly in that sense. Like the game is PvE mostly, right? So until you reach the very end of the game, that's the only part that's PvP. Most of the time before that, it's PvE.
I thought it has a big PvP focus.
I mean, in the very end, perhaps, like if you want to fight over the spice blows in the end of the game, yes. But in the beginning of the game, absolutely not. In the first, 50 hours of the game, you're not going to have any problem playing alone.
Oh, okay.
And people won't be able to kick down your sandcastle, which is something we don't like either.
Yeah. So as a solo player or when I play with friends, let's say we are a group of 3 to 4 people and we build our own little base, do our own stuff, and we play on a server that has some big streamers on it, so they have big guilds. Can they be dangerous to us? Can they, let's say, destroy our own feel of the game, our own gameplay?
I mean, I think that's a risk in all multiplayer game that when you play, like if Asmongold decides to bring like, I don't know, 100 people and have them surround your base doing silly emotes all day, I mean, sure, like that can happen. That's the multiplayer interaction. I think that the way the game is set up, it discourages people from attacking bases. Like I said, bases are kind of shielded.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, in the way that all multiplayer games can have bad interactions, yes, of course, people can impact your experience. Can they stop you from doing things? No, not really.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the demo I played, I think I've met other players. I tried to shoot them. Didn't do much. So they were protected, I don't know. Are there protected zones or is PvP always enabled?
No, so where you were, that's why you couldn't damage other players because you're in a protected area. You're in an area that doesn't allow you to kill players.
Okay.
And then we have 3 major areas. We have guild peace areas. In guild peace areas, you can't even attack people. You can't draw your weapons at all, and you can't use abilities.
Yeah.
And then we have like limited warfare, which is where you were playing. Limited warfare is basically PvE. So it's just you and other players can play together. You can't shoot people, other players. You can shoot enemies, of course. And then in a War of Assassins area, then you can do full PvP.
Okay.
So War of Assassins area in the game, there's a couple around some shipwrecks, and mostly it's in the deep desert, and that's mostly the big area where the PvP happens.
Yes. And those PvP areas, I presume you get a lot of good loot, like you Yeah, new blueprints. So yeah, high risk, high value.
Yes,
I would say.
exactly. That's correct. Yeah, the deep desert has a lot more spice.
Yeah.
So people want to go out there to get that. The thing about the deep desert though is it's very large, right? Like it's nearly 9 times bigger than that map that you played in today. So you have a lot of space to avoid other people as well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of creating again, the sandworm has this tension, and then also you now have the tension of playing with other people who might attack you. So you have a lot of space to kind of get away from people and move around. So that's kind of the thought process.
How many players does the server support?
So the Hager Basin, the area where you started today, is a 40-player minimum. We'll see where we get to when we optimize, but 40 is where we're starting.
Okay.
And then the deep desert is we're aiming to try and get 100 people per server in the deep desert, and then there's 9 servers in the deep desert connected together. So in that map, totally there can be around 900 people, but in any given server on that map, maximum 100.
Okay. How does multiplayer work? You just click on play and it will be sorted into a free server, or
You can choose.
Okay, you can choose your server. If the server I'm on is full and I want to play with friends, they can join. Or
Yeah, there'll have to be a queue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then there's a queue. Can you explain Dune to people, to players who only played Common Access before and haven't heard of Dune before? What can they expect in regards to what's different from Exiles?
Sure. Conan Exiles is very much a single map, single kind of universe game. It's very focused on the melee combat in Conan Exiles. It's very driven by like the basic kind of crafting loop of like gather, chop down trees, harvest stone. Dune takes a lot of those elements, but it's the Dune universe, so a lot of it is specific to Dune. Like harvesting rocks in Dune is involving the cut array, analyzing rocks for their weak points and cutting through them. The combat in Dune is melee, ranged, and abilities, right, which is different to how Conan Exiles works. Dune has multiple maps. You see the overland map and then the other maps in the world that you can go to. Dune has vehicles. Conan Exiles has some mounts, but it's not quite the same. And I think the systems from Conan Exiles, like building and climbing, that were really good in Conan Exiles and people liked, we've brought them to Dune and we've improved upon them to make them even better. So that's kind of the brief summary I would give. And then the universe itself, I guess, the best way to describe it is just to say Game of Thrones in space kind of works.
Yeah, that sounds right. In those player hubs, like different cities, the first city you get to is from the Harkonnen.
Oh, well, there's you can choose.
Oh, okay.
Right, so you can choose where to fly on the map. So you can go to Arakeen, which is where the Atreides have their main hub, or you can go to Harpo Village, which is this one.
Okay.
And they don't have to join if they don't want to.
Okay. But if a player chooses, let's say, Harkonnen, can they later change to or switch to the
Once.
other one? Okay.
You can betray a faction once.
Okay.
And then once you betrayed them, you can never do it again. They'll never take you back.
But can you also betray the other faction then and be factionless?
Yes.
Okay, great. I already saw that you can customize your vehicles, like the ornithopter, with some, let's say, speed booster, rocket launcher. What do you plan to, or do you plan more customizations later on?
Yeah, it's different for different vehicles, right? So you can also get scanners, which allow you to scan the world faster. Las guns, so you can attach las guns to it. So yeah, we'll continue to add modules and things to vehicles as we go forward. But for launch, these are the ones that we have, basically.
Yeah. You already said that even as a solo player, you can put 50 plus hours into the game. What would you say can an average player expect to put into the game?
I guess it kind of depends what they want to see, right? Like we have a storyline in the game. I think taking to see the most of the storyline, probably 30 to 40 hours. And then if you're happy then and want to leave, that's okay. But like that's. And then I think, but with the way that the end game works and the way it repeats, like in the way that we have the map changes and things happening, I feel like it can be played forever. That's kind of the thing. So I mean, they don't have to, but it's an option.
So I was already told that you don't have a sandboard in the game because it would be boring.
Well,
What's the decision behind that?
yeah, so we tried the sandwalk and it looked kind of stupid. It was a bit ridiculous. But also, I want people to meet the Fremen before they can learn Fremen things.
Yeah.
Right? And the Fremen, part of the story of the game is that the Fremen are missing and you need to find them. Right? So this is a part of the game story. So when you meet the Fremen, you might be able to learn the sandwalk.
Okay. Yeah, I was killed by the sandworm once.
Yeah, you got, yeah?
It's kind of cinematic.
Yeah.
When you die, do you also lose your loot?
If you die to the sandworm, yes. If you die to anybody else or any enemy, no. So it's a sandworm eats you, so it takes all your stuff. If you die to another player, you drop the resources. So if you're carrying spice or money or stones or plant fiber, you lose that. But you don't lose like your weapons or your armor or any of that stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, we try to be a bit more friendly.
But let's say you're in a PvP zone, another player kills you, he can loot your resources.
You can only loot your resources. I'm glad that I answered everything. That's great.
Yeah.
There is another path for you. Awaken.
You begin as a nameless prisoner. Sculpt your appearance, choose your background, and then crash into the planet. You are abandoned and alone. Hunted by sandworms. Scorched by the unforgiving sun. Ravaged by sunstroke. Stick to the shade. Chase the moving shadows. Survive. Welcome to Arrakis, the most dangerous planet in the universe. Meet hundreds of other players in the vast online world. Befriend or betray those you meet. Form a wary alliance, in this case, a spit dart rifle and a still suit, for your help taking down territorial deserters. Working with others will always increase your chance of staying alive. The Deserter Base. Climb to a vantage point and prepare for violence. Your choice of weapons and abilities determines your strategy. Swordmasters lead the charge into battle, literally. Repel ranged attacks with a shield, and then take them out, one by one. Deploy the Hunter-Seeker and kill from the shadows. Take what you can from the Fallen. On Arrakis, nothing of value is wasted. Mine, harvest, and gather with your group to build bases and unlock more advanced equipment, like the Blood Purifier. Refine the blood you collected from your enemies to extract drinkable water. Craft improved equipment using fabricators. Replicate your bases in new locations with the blueprint system, and then sell blueprints of your architectural wonders to other players. Lead your group to become a guild. On Arrakis, a nameless prisoner can rise. Construct an ornithopter and take to the air. The world is yours to claim.
This is Dune Man Keith Filari reminding you today your return with the full spy slot. My crew found a shortcut we become
The in-game radio provides insight into key events happening across Arrakis. Map the desert. Discover landmarks, wrecked ships, and desert testing stations filled with forgotten technology. Arrakis is a vast planet. You can explore unique locations, uncover valuable resources, and search for secrets amongst the shifting dunes. And then, return to civilization triumphant with what you found. Harko village throngs with people, spice traders, guild bankers, smugglers, house envoys, and of course, other players. Here, you will pledge allegiance to one of the great houses of Dune, the Harkonnen. But remember, to play politics, you need power. And on Arrakis, spice is power. In the deep desert beyond the shield wall, hundreds of players scour the landscape, hunting for spice. Every spice blow has the potential to become a heated battle, with multiple guilds vying for the precious melange. Even when it looks like defeat is inevitable, those who understand desert power can awaken Arrakis itself.